going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome back. Now, if you, like me, are into sim racing, you would have seen this week we got bombarded with stuff about Logitech and their brand new wheelbase. So Logitech have just released their very new Direct Drive Wheelbase. That's right, a Direct Drive Wheelbase from Logitech. Now, I think a lot of us knew that this would happen at one point or another, but I have to say, I am very happy that it's finally happened. For those that don't know the significance of this, let me just quickly run you through some things about sim racing products over the last couple of years. So Logitech have always done their G29, G27, G25s. They've had their very entry-level wheelbases. You could get a bundle that's a wheel and a set of pedals for like $500. I actually have one. I have one. I knew I had one. This is a Logitech G29. This is the wheelbase. It comes with a set of pedals that plug in underneath right there. And if you start in sim racing, or if you've ever been interested in sim racing, there's a very, very real chance that you've used one of these, or seen one, or you've had one of your own. They're everywhere. I'm just gonna turn this so you can have a bit more of a look. So this is a Logitech G29, and like I said, I've had this for a couple years. I bought this one on sale with Amazon. I think it was $300. I bought this for 300 bucks Australian. It comes with the wheel, it comes with pedals, and it's all ready to go. It's 300 bucks. It is not expensive when you think about what sim racing costs to get into and how much a setup can actually go for if you're spending some money. So Logitech have always done these really, really good packages to get people into sim racing and to just have that entry-level market completely cornered. They've done it for so long and done such a good job that when people think about cheap entry-level wheels and they're looking for ones, I always suggest these. I will always say to go for the Logitech stuff because I know how good they are and they will last forever. Now, in that space of the cheap entry-level stuff, there are some other competitors out there. You do have people like Thrustmaster. They've got some cheaper products and cheaper entry-level bases. But other than that, there's not a lot of people offering a $300 or a $500 at retail for a wheelbase and pedals to get you completely up and running and ready to go. So for the longest time, Logitech had this market covered, and it honestly seemed like they didn't really need to venture out beyond that because they did such a good job with these wheelbases that you didn't really need to change anything. Anytime somebody wanted a cheap beginner wheel or wanted to get into it, they went straight to these. And it's been like that for a very long time. Even now, this wheel has had a thrashing, but there's absolutely no reason to get rid of it because if you ever need a backup, it's there. And I know that if I plug this in now or at the end of the year or even next year, if I plug it in, I know it's gonna work. And I know I'm not gonna have any issues. It might not be as good as it was when I first bought it, but I know it's gonna work and I know that they're reliable. And that's honestly one of the most important things. So a couple of days ago, somebody sent me the post from Logitech announcing this wheelbase. And up until that point, I didn't even know that they were doing one. I didn't even know it was coming in. I had no idea. Obviously, I'm not one of those people that Logitech are gonna give all this information to tell everybody about, but I didn't see anything. I didn't see any of this stuff or any talks about it. If they did tell people, it was kept very, very quiet, or I'm just really, really dumb and didn't see any of the marketing about it up until the point that it was launched. Now, the reason that it's such a big deal for Logitech to make this expensive wheelbase is it shows that sim racing is growing, and growing rapidly to the point that a company like Logitech, who have always just focused on cheap, is now spending money to develop a better wheelbase, a direct drive wheelbase, and pricing a product that is definitely not anywhere near their original wheelbases. You're looking at about $1,500 for the wheelbase and then about $600 for the pedals. So just to get your wheel and your pedals exactly the same as you would with a $500 bundle, you're now spending over $2,000. So that's a big, big jump from the cheap stuff into this professional grade, really, really good high quality product. Which means the guys over at Logitech know that the cheap stuff sells so well to the point that people are gonna dip their toes into sim racing. And then whatever percentage of people love sim racing, they are gonna wanna upgrade to something that's gonna last them longer and give them a better performance. And normally, they would have to go elsewhere. But now, they don't have to. They can go straight to the Logitech product, which is an upgrade to what they've already used and keeps them within familiar territory without putting them into this new world of product that they've got no experience with. But the point is, Logitech have covered that cheap range for such a long time. And the fact that they're willing to put their chips in and put their money in to develop a more expensive product means that there is so much more happening in the world of sim racing and so many more people getting interested in sim racing that Logitech see it as a viable choice to spend the money on developing a more expensive wheelbase because sim racing is growing and developing and it's such a cool thing to see. So let's have a quick look at these new products. So if you go to their website, you can see the racing sim gear section. These are the wheelbases that a lot of us are familiar with. You have the G923, which is the PlayStation variation of the newer wheel. Then you've got your G920 and your G29, depending on whether you're using a PlayStation and PC or an Xbox and PC. That's the different option that you choose. So like I said, you see here, $500, brand new, you can get a G29, and that's your wheelbase and your pedals. You've got the option to add your shifter, that's $80 on top. So all up, to have a H-pattern shifter, a set of pedals, and a wheelbase, you're looking at around $600. Not that bad of a deal at all. You can go the new G923, that's an extra $100, you get a little bit more performance, you get a better force feedback, nothing else really changes, the pedals stay the same, that's about it. But then you jump from that into these new pro racing wheels. So you can see the Pro Series is what they're calling it. $1,500 for the wheel, and then $600 for the racing pedals. So we're gonna start with the wheelbase first, because this is the thing that really intrigued me the most. So when you look at the wheelbase here, as you can see, choose a style. So you've got your Xbox or PlayStation. So it's exactly the same as the other options that they had with the G29 and the G920. It's just gonna depend on what sort of internal chipset you have to be compatible with those certain consoles. So let's go PlayStation, I guess, because that's the ones that I've always had. And let's have a look at the pictures of this product. So it does look very, very similar to the older wheelbases. This is an old one for comparison. So you can see the shape of the base itself is very, very similar. You still have that wedged front. The front still looks like the front of a car, but you've got that wedged base design with your wheels sitting at a very acute angle from the front there. All the controls are on the wheels, and then paddles are on the back. So it does look very, very similar to the older wheelbases that we're familiar with from Logitech. If we keep scrolling through here, you can see same deal. You've got tabs down the bottom here for what I look like a desk mount by the looks of things. Now I'm going to disclaim, I haven't used this, I haven't seen it in person. I'm only going by virtual things that I've seen, or friends of mine who have partnered with Logitech to get their hands on these. I'm just going from my opinions on what I'm seeing on their websites and through social media at the moment. So if we go through again, you can see much bigger entry on the back. That's obviously going to be for cooling, because you go from something like the older wheels with a 3 Newton meter power output. I think this one is running at about 11 Newton meters. If we go through dimensions, no, we want to go through specs. Where are the specs? Here we go, 11 Newton meters. So we'll go through that in a second. But that's obviously a big, big jump to go from 3 Newton meters up to about 11. You're going to need those bigger casing, a bigger cooling. There's a lot more that goes into it to keep that wheelbase operating at correct temperatures. So going through it now, you can see on the back here, now this is something that I'm really happy to see. So you have 3 USB ports, you have a power port on the right-hand side, and then you have a USB type, not C, I don't know what kind of USB that is. Micro USB? I'm not sure exactly, but that looks like it's the cable that's then going to plug into your PC or console. So USB from the console or PC into this one here on the left, and then with these USB ports on the back, I'm assuming that everything else now is going to plug in via USB. So on the older wheels, like the G29 that I have next to me, they have their own proprietary kind of cable that then goes into that. Almost looks like a VGA port for a computer screen, an older monitor, but it's very, very different. So it sort of limits you with the older wheelbases into plugging things into them, because if I use a different wheelbase, but I still want to use the Logitech pedals, it makes it very, very difficult because you cannot plug other stuff into it. But with this one, it looks like you should be able to plug other pedals and other things into the back of this, so it almost acts like a USB hub, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Look, I'm just talking here out of speculation, I guess. Going through, you can see, now this was another thing that I was very, very interested to see. This little black thing right in between the wheelbase and the wheel, this is a quick release. So this means that the wheel itself is removable, which with the older wheels, you couldn't do that. Unless you unscrewed all the bolts on the front and you sort of jerry-rigged your own thing to take off and put back on, or whatever you wanted to do. It didn't come as standard to be able to remove the wheel. It wasn't designed like that. But this one, it has a quick release, which means Logitech are going to be bringing out different kinds of wheels, different things to put on this wheelbase, which again just goes to show the development that's going to go into this wheelbase. I am very excited to see what Logitech come out with in the next coming years. We go on across, you can see here, so this is the table mount. So this is cool. This is cool to see because obviously we know that the Logitech wheelbases do clamp to tables quite well, but I think the older ones being a 3 Newton meter or thereabouts wheelbase, it doesn't have anywhere near as much of a toll on your desk or surface as an 11 Newton meter wheelbase would. So I'd be very interested to see how sturdy this table clamp is on this wheelbase, being such a strong strong base in comparison. It's really cool to see that you can still clamp this to a desk as standard, so they're not really committing to just having this on sim rigs. It means that people who don't use rigs and still like to use their computer desks, it doesn't single them out and they don't have to pay extra for something that I think should be included with a wheelbase like this, 100%. So that's the wheelbase. So let's run down into some specs. Let's actually have a look in the box. You got your wheel, rim, wheelbase, table clamp, USB cable, power supply, and documentation. Pretty straightforward, nothing to worry. Underneath that, we've got drive to win, the true force feedback, blah, 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 just buzzwords for marketing. Designed with pros, engineered to win. Again, more just buzzwords. But this is something that I'm really interested in here. You can see it's got 11 Newton meters of force, which by standards, that is stronger than my CSL DD with the boost kit. So the standard CSL DD is 5 Newton meters, and this is from Fanatec. You can then buy an upgraded power supply that gives you more power from the wheelbase, and that's about 8 Newton meters of force. This one is 11 Newton meters of force. Granted, the price is a little bit more expensive for the wheelbase because you're spending $1,500, but in comparison, you get a little bit more force out of the wheelbase and you do get a wheel. So with the CSL DD, you don't. You have to buy your own wheel. So you're still looking at about $500 for a wheel, depending on what one you go for. The wheelbase is $800. You're spending a little bit more to get the Logitech stuff, but you are getting slightly more power. Depends on how it feels, and I guess depends on what you're after, but it's a good thing to note. Underneath this, we've got direct drive, no delays, no abstraction, 11 meters of force with a shockingly low latency response. So again, it's just really pushing the marketing force of it being a direct drive. But looking here, you can see it does hold a lot of similarities to what it has throughout the generations past. So you have your paddles on the sides, either side of the wheelbase. You have a rotating toggle switch, a circular dial there. You've got a hat switch here, which I'm assuming is like a multi-directional hat switch, or it could be like a joystick. Again, I have no freaking idea personally. Xbox button, I'm sure you have a PlayStation button there, depending on what wheelbase you get. But this is what really intrigues me. You have an LED RPM limiter up the top here. So this is going to show your revs in the car that you're driving. And then you have a graph here, or a dash almost. And I think this is going to show certain aspects of the wheelbase, your brake force, your force feedback percentage, a lot of different things that you can fine tune with some of these wheelbases. And it's cool to see that that's built into the wheelbase, similar to what the Moza wheelbases look like. If you haven't seen them already, they look like this. They have a dash similar to this, I'm pretty sure. Again, I haven't used one of them either, so I can't really comment too far. But this is cool to see that this is built in to the wheelbase directly. You can see a little bit further down that they're promoting the Playseat. So this is what this is going to look like built into a rig. And I think that looks really, really cool. It does look like a really, really nice wheelbase. You can get a bit of a glimpse here from the pedals. Goes to show how nice they look as well in comparison to the older generations. But I think this looks quite good. I think it does look quite nice. And if you are wanting to stay with what you know with the Logitech product, then this is kind of a no-brainer. Realistically, it is expensive. Don't get me wrong, the price is definitely up there. But if you do want, to get that better performance out of a wheelbase, and you don't want to stray away from what you've got experience with, then this could be a really, really cool option for you. Now let's have a quick little look at the pedals, because I haven't really looked too much into these since I saw them released. I wanted to wait for this video so we could go through it together. But the pedals look a million times nicer than the previous generations. The quality and the build on these looks worlds apart to what we've had previously. So looking through them now, you can see you've got your clutch, brake, and throttle. You can adjust the height of your throttle as well as where the faceplate of the pedals sit by undoing these Allen keys. These Allen key bolts and moving them across into whatever orientation you want, which is a nice little touch. That's a cool thing to see as standard. Moving across, these are a load cell pedal. So the center pedal, which is your brake pedal, is going to be really, really hard in comparison to what you've seen with earlier generations of these pedals. So by the looks of things, they are just a resistance with springs for the clutch and for the throttle. So similar to what you would have with some other wheelbases as well. But you can see here the load cell right in the middle of that brake pedal. That's what's going to really show and give you that resistance. So load cell brake, better muscle memory, and that is 100%. I realized when I bought my first set of load cells is that your muscle memory is really what helps you be more consistent on the track. It's not so much where the pedal is in orientation to how much you're braking, but it comes down to how much force you're putting down on your pedal, and that's a weird thing to think about until you try it. But if you've never used a load cell brake before, it is very feel based. It's not so much position based that you have with some of the older pedal bases. But this looks good. This does look like a nice set of pedals. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to see them putting the effort and the time and the work and the money into developing things like this, because like I said before, it just means that there's more and more people looking to get into sim racing, or people that want to stay within sim racing, which I think is a really, really cool thing. And it's the best thing for sim racing. The more people involved, the better it'll be. I love it. But more importantly, I want to know what you guys think. If you've seen this, or if you've used it, or if you know someone that's used it, leave me a comment below. I want to know what you think. I think this is good news for us. I think this is good news for sim racing in general, and I'm really excited to see how this is perceived and how this is received by the sim racing community, because I really think that this is a good thing for us, but I don't know. I really don't know. Who am I? I got no idea. If you guys like this video, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. Also subscribe. I post new videos every week, and you don't want to miss them. If you are into live streams and you want to come and check us out on our stream, I'll leave all the information in the description, our schedule, the link, all of the information will be there. Come and check us out and let me know you found this video. I want to talk about this, baby. Let's do it. If you guys want to find us on any of our other social media, all the links will be in the description. We have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, whatever you can think of within reason. You should probably find us there. If you want to check us out, please feel free. I'd love to have you as part of the community. Other than that, I'm going to leave you guys to it. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.